Today I want to talk about a type of sharpening that really is incredible, and it's new to me. I just learned about this a couple months ago, and I love it. The barrier to entry is so cheap. I mean, typical sharpening stones can be anywhere from $200 to $300 for a set that you need, and for the average person starting, they've never really experienced truly sharp or seen what needs to happen, and so therefore they don't really know what kind of sharpening system is going to work for them. This is a system that can either be a short-term learning thing for you or a long-term part of your sharpening system. The thing that's amazing about it is it really gets things perfectly sharp, and it's very easy to do. It uses a special lapping sandpaper that was developed by 3M for the electronics industry, I believe. And it's not like your regular sandpaper that you use for like sanding wood or anything like that. It is electrostatically charged aluminum oxide, so you get these really perfect grits and really flat pieces of sandpaper. And then it uses float glass, which is actually the cheapest type of glass because it's the easiest kind to make. So let me get into showing you this, but I mean, basically, this is for under 50 bucks. You can have a sharpening system that is going to get things amazing and be very long lasting. So let me kind of show you the components of this. I pulled a no-no and left my chisel in a puddle of water on my bench. Like, what a jerk I am. So we've got to fix my nice chisel that I totally screwed up, and I'm going to show you how I do it and how easy and inexpensive this system is. So really quickly, just going over how cool this system is. The large pack of sandpaper, which I think is 25 bucks, these sheets will last you 6 months to a year. I mean, and that's sharpening all the time. These are really well designed. The PSA adhesive is super sticky, so the one trick is you can't go back and forth when you're sharpening. You can only pull towards you. Otherwise, you can like rip the sandpaper. But if you pull towards you every time, these are going to last forever because they don't clog up. So the one thing to remember about these is they are not labeled on the back because they have these peeling back and the PSA adhesive on them, so there's no way to label them. So there's a sheet that comes with it when you order it that tells you the grits. We'll run through them really quick. They're measured in microns. That doesn't really mean anything to us woodworkers, so I'll tell you the equivalent grit. Funny fact is a human blood cell is 5 microns, and the finest one that this comes with is 0.3 microns, this white, which is equivalent to 60,000 grit, or like 16, 17 times a human blood cell smaller. But basically, 60,000 grit, 14,000 grit, 8,000, 1,800, 1,200, 600, 300. And you're not going to use these lower grits very often unless you're like redoing your micro bevel like we're going to do here today. And this one is going to be so fine that it's going to be, you're going to be able to get a mirror finish on your stuff if you want to, and that's going to be way finer than a strop. So if you want, the company I got this from does sell a horse butt strop, which is the best kind of leather for that. But honestly, I don't use it with this system. And then you can get float glass. Now, you could buy this anywhere. You can use anything that's flat. You could even use like a granite plate if you wanted to, but it has a tendency to get dirty, and this stuff's so easy to clean, and this pressure-sensitive adhesive sticks to it so well that I like to use this float glass. Benefit to this system, like I said in the intro, float glass is the cheapest kind of glass out there because it's the easiest to make. Now, very simply, we're going to take this sandpaper and stick it to our glass, which is very easy to do. You just need to clean it off, and we're just going to use water for this. So make sure there's nothing on there, because when you're wanting things to be very flat, you don't want to. I'm sure you've all had the experience of putting a screen protector on your phone, and that dang little piece of dust in there, you just like bothers you for the next year and a half. So to get this on there, what we're going to do is just spray a little bit of water on this, and what this allows you to do is get the bubbles out. So it does have an adhesive on it, but by spraying it with water first, this allows you to get the bubbles out, and once the water starts to dry, then the adhesive will take over. It's a really good adhesive, very easy to put down. You could use like a roller. So you peel off the back here, and then you put it down, and you want to just kind of work it in there. And what's great about the water is you can reset it. And you just put it down, and now you can see all the bubbles in here. Look, you can see your bubbles. So you can just take something, just like you would a phone screen, and get all your bubbles out. And this is important because you don't want it to dry with your bubbles in there. And that squeezes out the water. What's great about this is I'll use something like this for months. I mean, really, it doesn't clog up. You can always rinse it out with water. And once it's on there, it's on there. I mean, you really got to want to peel it off to get it out of there. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna do that with all my grits here, and we'll check back in when all of this has dried and we're ready to start sharpening. One thing to keep in mind, again, like I said, there's no labeling of what grit it is, so sometimes I'll take like a little piece of blue tape and just put it on your glass. That's not dry yet, so we'll have to do it when it's dry, and then I'll just write what the grit is so that I don't forget. So I'll just write it on there and leave it stuck on. All right, let's get these attached, and we'll check back in when we're ready to sharpen. Okay, so I've got this set up, and I basically set them up so that like hardcore sharpening is on one side and polishing is on the other. I don't know that you would ever need to go to 60,000 grit, but it's fun, so why not? I like to see myself in my chisels. By the way, I misspoke in the intro. These are not half sheets. These are 2/3 sheets pieces of glass. This is the half sheet size, and then this is the 1/3 sheet size, I believe, or quarter sheet. But either way, you could buy the float glass from these guys, or you could get just a piece of float glass anywhere as long as it's flat. So now let's set up my nasty chisel that I did here. When you're setting your chisel, you can do it one of two ways. I have it measured to 1 5/8 on a board here, and you can just tighten that down. And that's 25 degrees, or you can do 30 degrees, which is 1 3/16. The other way is if you set it on a flat piece of the float glass or a piece of wood, you look at it from the side there, and when it sits flat on the board, you know that your micro bevel is at 25 degrees if you've gotten it just straight from the factory. I'm sorry, your main bevel is 25 degrees. And then for the micro bevel, you would just lift it up a little bit until the heel of the chisel comes off just a little bit, and then you know you can get your micro bevel. But I find this way is a really simple way. I just keep this piece of scrap wood with my sharpening supplies, and I get it kind of roughly tight, and then I tap it to the line, tighten it in, and if it's your first time doing it and you're doing the sight method, then what you could do here is just lift it up without moving it and give it a little tap, and that'll give you a bench mark where you can put your chisel in. But we've got this good, and I'm just gonna verify that it's right, and it is, and we are gonna start sharpening. Now, the great thing about this system is you can use any lubricant you want, but I prefer water. Water seems to work really good. Makes it easy to clean up. It doesn't leave blue stains on your bench, which Windex can do. Okay, sorry, that wood was sliding all over. I'm gonna make the same mistake I made in my other chisel sharpening video. So, just pulling towards you, you can work the beginning of the chisel and the back. And really what you want to see when you're sharpening is, yeah, there are people that'll spend an hour getting the back super shiny. I just want to make sure that it's shiny on all the contact points. So, not shiny, but you get scratch marks on all the contact points, which is the edges about 1 inch up. I mean, I'm never using a chisel this size to go more than 1 inch deep, so I'm not ever worried about getting back to here. But just so that the cutting edge is flat and you know, the edges are flat, and that should be just plenty fine. I think a lot of people put way too much emphasis on like super perfection when sharpening. I think as long as it cuts paper and when you're done, it's good to go, because woodworking is not machining. So you can see here I have scratch patterns all the way across there, all the way to the edges. I'm gonna do a little bit more to get rid of the rust stain there, but that's what you're looking for. You're looking for new scratch marks on every stone. So when you go to a new stone, those scratch marks will look different as you go up in grits. So let's whip through these things real quick, and then we'll go back to our honing guide, which I just showed you how to do. Okay, so that you can see is pretty shiny. I mean, I didn't get rid of all the scratch marks, but again, don't beat yourself up over that. You'll see it's gonna be crazy sharp. Now, as we set up our chisel here, I'm gonna redo the whole bevel because it just got a little rusty and it's probably time to start over. I've sharpened this probably, I don't know. Last time I redid the bevel was probably 2 years ago, and that's how often I redo that. So I'm going to go through at 25 degrees and then do it at 30 degrees. The 25 degrees, I probably won't go over the 600 grit because it just doesn't matter because your cutting edge is going to be the 30 degrees. So I'm going to do the 25 real quick. And the one thing I didn't say before is you want to wipe off your chisel to avoid cross-contamination between different grits. But that back, I mean, that was like 30 seconds of sharpening that we got it to there, and that was about all we need to do. So you don't need to be doing this for an hour. This is something that as you get good at this, you just go and touch up your bevel at 30 degrees, and it should take you about 30 seconds per chisel or plane iron. So let's do our main bevel on a couple grits, and then we'll do our 30-degree micro bevel on all the grits. Yo, that is just crazy sharp. And the mirror finish off this 60,000 grit is crazy. I sharpen all the time, but you know what? I'm always impressed when I get stuff super sharp. And it's like, this thing could take little teeny shavings. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like you saw in the, whatever. I could do that all day. I'm not gonna sit here and shave myself for your, or my enjoyment, I guess. All right, so when you're done, it's real simple to clean them off. Just give them a little spray and let it like run down. Pat them dry with a cloth. And just put them away to dry, and you're good to go. They're ready to take out next time. Like I said, I misspoke, and those were the 2/3 sheets. So the half sheets are great because then you get 2 sheets per sheet of sandpaper. But really, for under 50 bucks, you can't beat this system. You really can't. I'll link everything down below, but it just works, and these things are non-messy, and they're no maintenance. I mean, other than changing the paper, it's not like you gotta flatten your stone, you know, which is another tool you have to buy. You gotta buy a stone flattener. So if you're looking to just get into sharpening and learn how to do it, this is the way to go. And don't stress out. You know, when I first started sharpening, I would stress out and I'd get my square out and I'd be like, you know, sticking feeler gauges in there. But you know what? Get a chisel sharp. If it's got a pretty flat back and it shaves paper, you're gonna get great results. I mean, woodworking, like I said earlier, it's not machining, and we know how to fix our mistakes. Good woodworkers, we know how to fix them. It's not that we don't make them. So, guys, check these out. Really cool. Thanks for watching. Stay safe in the shop, and have a wonderful day. Yo, just so you guys see how sharp this is. This is white oak end grain, and it just, I mean, it just razor sharps that. It's like a shaving, and that shouldn't be a shaving. I mean, look at how easy it is to break that apart. That is just crazy sharp. Unbelievable.